there's a new, oh, okay, come on, pen. So new aspects or updated frequencies of what would be considered like traditional aspects or soul aspects, or archetypes rather, archetypes. Archetypes, aspects, same but different. Aspects we use kind of interchangeably as a parallel past or future version of us. Archetypes are kind of like agreed upon or mutually agreed upon definitions. Vincent could probably actually explain aspects or archetypes way better than me, because I know you're actually trained in tarot, so don't let me like mansplain it or anything like that. And if you're busy, no worries, but if you think of the tarot, that's just like that's one quick way. If you think of the tarot deck, those represent each card is an archetype essentially, or major arcana. And if I'm just butchering this, correct me if I'm wrong, put it down below. Yeah, Vincent's got it. I know you got it. I was like, I'm not trained in tarot.
Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate that. I just had a handful of paint. So, like, as I was taught about the archetypes, they're represent individual forms of like what we could embody within a day ourselves. Like, so, like, the tarot starts off with the Fool, which is like the entire major arcana is about the Fool's journey through its lifetime. In a multi-dimensional way. So you go from the Fool to the Magician to the High Priest. Like, these are all aspects of our soul, and they represent like how we embody the situations we're dealing with. So like the Empress is loving and she cares about the environment. Her womb space is, embodies everything. But then you work your way up. You've got the Emperor, who is very logical, needs things done in a certain way, needs to control the situation. So these are what archetypes are, and we kind of build our lives through archetypes. We also go on the hero's journey, which is like another way of saying the fool's journey. We're always looking to like provide a sense of meaning to our life and the story that we are telling of our life. So by giving or having these archetypes, which are thought forms that are brought together to describe something. And that's like basically like any word could be an archetype because of its conscious meaning. So archetypes can definitely encompass a lot of different things, but like if we want to think about it into like typical day-to-day life, it's how we embody a certain situation or a time frame that we're involved in, and you're either mastering the time frame or you're being controlled by the time frame. And like some of the higher arcana are about, like there's the Lovers, but the opposite of that is the Devil card. And so as the Lovers, you're trying to come together with somebody to create a positive outcome. But the Devil card is symbolic as, if you really look at it, it's you've got a loose collar around you that obviously you could take off yourself. And so that the control that is exuded upon you is self-imposed. Basically, even though we have created an archetype that we're giving power to say that the devil has made the situation that we're in, which it isn't true. It's everything that's happening within our life is happening through our own consciousness and perception and beliefs. So we have created these archetypes to give meaning to what the situation is, and basically that's the subtle gist of it, and it does definitely go in deeper to what there's more to it that you could definitely find out, and that's one of the reasons why I studied tarot for a long time, and I'm still studying it through watching other people and experience their archetypes for sure. I think that's all I have on that right at the moment. Thank you.
I know a little bit about the archetype too. So in the in between place, 来自 in between your incarnation. So that is just the like what's the quantum space that's really peace and everything is just like eternal. So in that space, you do healing when you heal your previous incarnation, and also you plan your next incarnation. But you can also just chill there out. So some soul is really like lazy and laid back. They just stay in that place a lot. When you're planning with your higher self and your oversoul. So you're planning what your next incarnation is going to be. And that's where the architect comes from, comes in to help conscious understanding what they are trying to do. So there is different 12 or 13 archetypes, but there might be even more sub-archetypes. But the broader archetype, including things like warrior, healer, teacher, oracle, etc. So you even though at that space is not linear, but for soul to understand it easier, you could think it in a way like a fool's journey or a hero's journey. So you go through a journey in one archetype that you goes from the easiest journey, which is like in the angelic realm, in the higher realm. That's our collective conscious. Everything is peace and easy. And then you gradually goes to lower dimension, which when the environment is harsher environment. So you can, right now the earth is 3D environment, and you can also go to 2D, 1D, even 0D environment, which is really dense and really hard, but you don't have to go through all the dimension. Is all up to your soul's own individual preference. So you just design your own journey and pick where you want to incarnate. And after, so it's not linear, but you can think of it as a linear, and you can experience different journey. When before you end a journey, you have a big climatic life experience, which you use all the soul gift, all the experience you acquired through different incarnation in that archetype, and you design yourself a big climatic experience, which is could be like our glory, could all be very like a dramatic, whatever you design it to be. So it's all up to the individual soul and your higher self and your oversoul's preference. You can create, design whatever things you want. And after that, you often just become ascended master. So each soul can have many versions of ascended master. So they kind of just all saved in your Akashic record, which is just really like eternal and peaceful. But I always wondering, so in that in-between space is all collective consciousness. How do you maintain, differentiate each individual soul? Like how do you maintain each individual soul not mixing up with other soul? That's my question. I'm complete.
Thank you, Aurora, for completing me on that explanation for sure. And I think there is we do why we come to places like Earth is to like experience the full aspect of the individuation process, and we anchor it through our ego here, but we take a little bit of that part of us with us when we do pass on to the higher realms. We carry that individuality with us back to there as like a frequency of light, and we everything else differentiates from us like through that frequency of light and experience. Somehow I like it, as I've seen through like my mind's eye of being in and talking to passed on people, that it's like you hold a certain vibration even when you pass on that like is getting continued, and once you like start to want to vibrate to become uh, back into the physical again, like you start the complete differentiation process, because you are, like you said, whole and one with everything around you, but you do have a sense of individuation. I don't know if that it makes any sense or not. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you both for sharing those, channeling and sharing that knowledge. Yeah, I was just gonna like channel it, but yeah, what I'm being shown is, as I ponder your question, is that so I'll just do the intuitive, because I really want to channel some of these new archetypes that are coming in, and channeling some of the gridding. So we'll
Yeah,
what
you
they're
do
showing.
your channeling.
No, what
Bring
they're
us
showing
more
me.
knowledge.
Yeah, what they're showing me is that we return back to the whole, much like Vincent had shared. But we are merely we are essentially a fragment of our soul, oversoul, whatever term you want to use, right? We have so many terms for it. Pure consciousness is the one that I'll use. So you are a fragment of that pure consciousness. You are in this current right now. This is where our individuation is focused in this current. I say 4D. I think 3D to me is closed out, gone, collapsed. That's been shifted for a while. So we'll call it fourth dimension. And as you return back to the whole, each soul, all the souls are if you're listening to this, like, you know, like you're eternal, you know. So our consciousness returns back to the whole. But each soul, you know, we are just a fragment of God, source, creator, creation itself. So even though it is much more collective, I like how Bashar explains it too. Like they are a collective, or maybe, but they each still maintain their own personal individuation. If you think about a braid, right? If you think of each soul as a strand in the braid, there could be infinity number of strands in the braid, but each soul itself, each one of us, is a single golden strand or thread or filament in that braid. Each individuation is just as important. Each drop in the ocean is as important as the wave. We've used that analogy as well too. Just because you're a part of the wave doesn't make you any less of a drop, you know. And I know that's kind of like a general explanation. That's not like the kind of higher dimensional. I'm being shown it. I mean, there's a couple different ways they're showing me. Through sacred geometry, through light, like what Vincent had shared. I can see it that way as well too. That's a much more true frequency, honestly. Not that what we're sharing isn't true. This is a truth, but this is a truth translated through and kind of focused down into a very dense dimension. So what we are channeling and bringing through is the truth, your truth, my truth. Got right ear pain confirmation. But the higher dimensional or the higher consciousness understanding of that truth is much more expansive. Much more expansive. And I asked for it to be shown to me in kind of that higher dimensional consciousness. I asked for it to be shown to me in sacred geometry or light or harmonics, because to me that's a much more expansive way. And then I allow my consciousness to expand into that explanation versus what traditionally has happened for me when I first started channeling, first started gridding, was they would show me, so they use your experience as a human and they give you a representation of something so that you can understand it. And you say, okay, it's this. Gridding is going out on the land and beating my drum, right? But we all know that planetary grid work is so much more than that. But it has to use consciousness, or ourselves has to use something for you to understand. So you have to attach on to this idea. So it gives it to you in a channeling that says, okay, this is grid work. Grid work is going out onto the land. Or maybe grid work is sitting in your room and building crystal grids. I don't know. I'm just using that for an example. But you and I both know that grid working is so much more expansive than that. So hopefully that's a good way of giving you a definition of that, what we were talking about. Did that answer your question, Aurora, or at least get us to a point where we can put a pin in it?
Yeah, I think it answered my question. There is a soul signature. That's the secret geometry. Something like that. To help you hold your identity.
Yeah, I like that. Soul signature is good. Sacred geometry, the way I've been shown these higher dimensional templates that are coming in to is like folding of kind of like prismatic sacred geometry, folding and unfolding.